Greetings and salutations, and welcome to episode 224 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner, and Trav is in the house here as we stream live, as we do every Wednesday here on YouTube and Facebook at 7:30 Eastern. Make sure you are sharing this content with anybody and everybody so they can join the conversation right there with you, as Locked in Law, JG having a conversation already before the show has even started. When you jump in, make sure you leave a comment, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you're subbed up, and then do us a favor. Find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever it is that you find your podcasts, and also set yourself to auto download there. Okay, just do us a solid, do that. Leave us a rating and review, helps other people find us. That way we can have more people coming in and joining the conversation. Lots to talk about today. My least favorite thing is the jersey numbers that we'll be talking, but we got some fun things to talk about with the jersey numbers. That's where we're going to be actually talking about George Pickens coming to the NFC East as well. Maybe a little bit in the game, but the cool down is going to be the large part of where that is. Today's game is going to be the QB discussion. Where does Jayden Daniels rank in the NFC East? And where does he rank in the NFC? Those two questions we're going to answer today. That's what we're going to be answering during the game portion. And then during the warm-up, the huge draft party that DC is going to have with the draft in 2027 coming to the nation's capital. Now, one of the questions I am going to pose is whether or not Jayden Daniels' success is meaning the franchise is ahead of the game, even outside the field. So, Locked on Law already disagreeing with me. JD5 is him, but doesn't get credit for the new stadium and the 2027 draft. I'm going to try to convince you otherwise. But first...
Yeah, I just want to give a real quick shout out, a little melancholy shout out to my Pop Stoner, that we call him. He lost his sister today. My Aunt Betty passed away, and I've had trouble getting in contact with him today, and I know he always listens or watches our show. He lost his brother about 6 months ago, so good, rough time for Pop Stoner. So shout out to Pops and everything. Just wanted to let him know, guys. He always talks about Nathan and Trev when I talk to him on the phone, so he knows us quite well. A little shout out to Pop Stoner there.
Shout out Pop Stoner.
We're with you, Pops, in spirit, and wishing you all the best, and in your health and mental state right now. And I know that can't be easy. So much love sent your way here from the Ref the District crew. We appreciate you always tuning in. So we hope to have a good show for you. Stoner said right before we went on, he's like, let's own this. Let's rock this. So we're going to do this one for you, Aunt Betty, and for Pops. So let's get right into it with the conversation at hand, which is the draft in 2027, the NFL draft in 2027 coming to DC, announced just this week. Back-to-back weeks, Trev, with big announcements in the DC realm. First, the stadium last week. This week, it is the draft. Who knows what they're coming up with coming on Monday? But how big is it to you to hear that the draft is coming home?
I mean, it's huge. It's kind of another reason why I keep wearing the nostalgia so far. I'm not, I wear it either way, but it's starting to feel like it was back in the day, I guess. Has there ever been a draft in DC for the NFL ever? Has there?
Not for the NFL modern day, but like
right.
1940 something.
Okay, so then no, yeah. This is huge. But also, it's people are probably like, it always happens. Yeah, not when you have DS as your owner for 30 years in a dark cloud. This is what happens when you get competent front office, competent ownership who know exactly what they're doing, and they have a lot of money and they're not afraid to spend it. This is what happens. You get your old stadium, you get a new stadium coming at your old site. The draft is coming to DC. I mean, and also we're going to get to it. Winning helps.
Winning does help. 1941, by the way, was the
1941. There you go.
Yeah.
85 doesn't get credit. We'll get to that. A little bit does go to him and crew on that football field because we just had the draft in Green Bay. They win. Draft in Vegas. They don't win, but the venue's dope.
And it's Vegas.
And it's Vegas. But you get what I'm saying? Like winning does play a little bit of a role in that, I think. But yeah, this is awesome. I can't wait to go in 2 years, bro. It's gonna be lit. I can't wait to set up. I already saw oh God, my light. I already saw mock setups of like the the Washington Monument in the background, the center of it, and like we have the scenery. We have the scenery for it. Let's bring it back. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, JD5. Thank you, Dan Quinn. Thank you, AP. Thank you, Cliff. Everybody who contributed to this. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, TJ, for moving away. TJ here with the comment. I hate it. As soon as I move away from the DMV, they want to be doing good stuff. Well, we appreciate your contributions, TJ, for making that happen. You moved away and they're like, you know what? Now we can do all the fun stuff. So it's last time was 1941. The NFL draft has not been the spectacle that it has been, as we've known it. Even if you look at 20 years ago, what the NFL draft looked like. Remember, we only went to Thursday night drafts within the last decade and a half, right? Where the first round was separated. It didn't used to be that way.
Right.
What did it used to be like? It's been so.
It's just all one night, all day Saturday or something.
And then they spread it out where it's like the first 3 rounds were going to be, and then they're like, no, first night gets its own deal. Then 2 and 3 get their own, and so this is a big deal. And for the longest time, it was being held in one location. So from 1965 to 2014, it was in New York City.
Oh,
that's just,
and wasn't even in the wasn't it like in Madison Square Garden? It was in like Radio City Music Hall or something like that, right?
Yep.
Don't act like the Radio City Music Hall isn't a big deal, but okay.
Well, no, but I mean, it's not like where it is now. I mean, it's even outgrown Madison Square Garden. If they wanted to do it, they couldn't. It's not big enough now. It has just grown so much. It's really cool to see. And one of the smartest things they ever did was deciding to take it on the road. In 2015, I think Chicago maybe was the first one in 2015.
Yeah,
but
2015 was Chicago. They got it back-to-back years.
Oh, they did 2 years in a row, right? So you've got like Nashville was really, I think, the first one where it exploded into hundreds of thousands of people, all right there in that main street. And then you've had, like Trev said, Vegas, and then Green Bay, Detroit, right? Detroit and Green Bay. Detroit and Green Bay. They have some things to offer. They can't touch what Washington, D.C. has to offer in terms of what it's going to look like. It's iconic everywhere you look in Washington, right? So it's just going to look amazing. Washington has the infrastructure to handle hundreds of thousands of people every day because they do it all the time with inaugurations and marches and rallies and Caps victory parades and Nats victory parades and all they're ready for that. They have all the infrastructure, including hotels and restaurants and bars and transportation and trains and subways, buses, proximity to New York and Philly. And it's just a perfect spot. And Baltimore is right here, of course. It's going to be iconic. And I mentioned this on our show Monday, our instant reaction, is that I'm telling you right now, I'm guaranteeing 1 million people per day. Not 1 million people total, which is what they're kind of talking about. 1 million people per day are going to be down on that mall to watch this thing.
Yeah, that's going to be so lit.
Yeah, so 750,000 is what Detroit ended up having back in 2024. So they were last year's. 750,000. They made a insane amount. It's like $214 million that the city of Detroit made through having the draft. And that is, we're gonna come back to that because that's important. I'm going to talk about the locations a little bit more. We mentioned Chicago was the first one after New York City kind of gave up their spot as the de facto location. Chicago did it back to back. Then it was Philadelphia.
Then
Arlington, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Which means, well, the Commanders are actually the last of the NFC East teams to be able to host the modern day draft. And we're going to show them how it's done.
Yeah,
just want to say they saved the last for best.
Yeah.
They saved the last for best there. Then it was Nashville. Best for last. Yes. Best for last. Nashville, Tennessee was in 2019, virtual in 2020 for everyone knows why. Cleveland, Las Vegas, Kansas
before
City.
You move on to, before you go to Cleveland and all that, do you guys remember the virtual one with Roger Goodell in his basement on his
for sure. That was cool.
Bill Belichick's dog. And
yes.
And that's when we were first introduced to Cliff Kingsbury's house. Remember his house?
Because he was sitting there
I think it was a specific draft setup that he had, but it definitely made a lot of waves for what he did there. Cleveland, Las Vegas, Kansas City, Detroit, Green Bay. It's in Pittsburgh. The year before we get it here in DC. Going back to the $214 million that the city makes. One again, that's 750,000. Stoner is guaranteeing 1 million people each day. And even if it doesn't actually reach that number, you got to figure the city itself will have probably the 1 million tourists each day, if not more. I don't know. I don't know the numbers that they have on a regular basis, but now outside their big scopes, right? They have the Cherry Blossom Festival that's early April. And then all of a sudden, randomly at the end of April, you're going to have an event that is going to garner multi-$100 million. You're probably looking at $300 to $500 million for the city of DC.
Beautiful.
And I think, I know that Josh Harris and company went and talked with some council members after the announcement for this, as they still have to garner enough votes to get the stadium deal done.
Yeah.
And I know those numbers came up. Hey, Detroit made $200 million off of theirs. Ours is going to be bigger, and you can get more events like this if you say yes to the stadium coming in. What do you guys think about the political maneuvering to go from the draft to the new stadium?
Yeah, I think that's something that happens quite frequently with these things. It helps. We don't want to get too much into politics, but it helps that when you have a president that is friends with the owner, or the owner supports the president, vice versa, whatever, then you can get things like this done a little bit quicker than you can with other things, right? So yeah, and franchise talk is all over it right there. That money that's generated goes into the pockets of businesses and obviously into the pockets of the budget for DC. And that's going to help with what they're going to do for the stadium. So you go down there and you talk to those council members. Look, we're about to generate for the budget $100 million just for that. Right? So go ahead and pass the stadium bill. Right? I don't know that they're completely tied together. I don't think it had to be one without the other. But look, this all we shouldn't try to understand big business like this because we really don't know big business and politics.
Yeah, my pockets ain't enough to talk about this big business.
It certainly doesn't hurt when you have somebody who supports the current guy who can help. What is it? Grease the skids? Is that the right cliche?
Yeah. Grease the pig. Yeah.
You ever heard grease the skids? No, to help make things happen a little easier. If you put grease on the skids, then it goes smooth, right? That's the analogy.
I was like, cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Don't hear that out in Western Virginia. Apparently,
you hear grease the skids. Do you have trains out there? Yeah. Do you have people who work on trains or anything? Skid grease. Okay.
No, we just have trains.
It doesn't even have to be a train metaphor. We're totally derailing another train.
Nice.
But it could also be if you're a skater, you would want to do the same thing to curbs and rails and whatnot. So that way you can do your tricks a little bit easier if you grease the skids that way as well.
Gotcha.
Now, we're going to go back to franchise talk here, but his comment before, I'm happy to have the draft here, but why not wait until we get our new stadium? We couldn't wait 5 more years.
No,
I think if that's the case, did you want to have it at the stadium? If that's the case, it's not going to be a lot of people that can go like what DC wants. It's not even like what 60-something thousand is what they're looking at the stadium. So yeah, go ahead and do it now. Get the players jazzed to come to a franchise that's getting a new stadium, guaranteed. And you have way more people allowed to come and way more activities and way more events to put on rather than be concealed in the one little. That's if you wanted the new stadium. But other than that, why would you wait until we got the new stadium if you didn't want to have it at the stadium?
When you talk about iconic spots within Washington, D.C., I don't care if it's a $3.7 billion stadium that's going to be amazing. It's not as iconic as the Capitol building.
Yeah, put it right there in the National Mall. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, if we were in like Baltimore or Landover or some Ashburn or something like that, then we could do the stadium. But you're in DC where you don't even need a stadium. You already got everything there to attract people.
And the renderings they have in terms of how they're going to do it. So they're basically going to put the stage about halfway between the Capitol and the monument. So the Capitol is going to be over the top of the, what you're viewing on the stage.
Okay.
Right. And then you turn around, you got the Washington Monument behind you. You look to your left and you can see where the White House is. And then you look to your right and you got the National Art Gallery and the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum. And it's just iconic. And if you go a little, just looking past the Washington Monument, I'm just throwing out my DC knowledge here. But, you got the World War II, and then eventually you hit the Lincoln Memorial. It's perfect. And like we said, like Nathan mentioned, that the Cherry Blossom Festival is going to be right around the same time. And I don't know if you've ever been down there for the Cherry Blossom Festival. There are 8 gazillion people who come from all over the world to look at trees, which I don't get. Right? But everybody just wants to look at trees blooming. And
those are some of the best national jerseys ever designed.
Yeah, the jerseys are great. But it's just a tree. I don't know why people, they literally come from all over the world.
My thing is they're in bloom for so little. Like that's the part that kills me is just like you have to hope you've timed it. Right. Yeah. Because booking all that, you do that a year out in advance. And then you could be a day off of when they bloom. And that's just thankfully having lived in the area, it was always great just to be like, I'm going to catch the metro and go down. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of excitement for it. Now I did want to, the mall is a no-brainer as Hermit Rob here had said earlier. The concern from franchise talk is also that he wants the facilities and everything to be nice. Nobody's going up to FedEx Field. Nobody's making that trek to Ashburn. This is actually, despite the fact that we're talking about it in the context of the team and that things are going well, with it, this is going to be on DC. People are going to be talking about whether or not DC is a place that they want to go. And it already is set up to be a place for tourists. So I'm not worried about this looking bad on the franchise because this is just the precursor to football being it already is the dominant, sport, but really in DC over the last few years, it started kind of losing some of that ground. It's going to be back to, you cannot walk down any of the streets without seeing burgundy and gold.
Amen.
Okay. And that's what the draft is going to be the start of, kind of the start of more events coming. The reason why you don't wait 5 years for when the new stadium comes here is because they're going to be hosting a different event when that happens. Go ahead and book your Super Bowl tickets in probably 2032 because Washington, D.C. is probably going to end up hosting the Super Bowl. I want to give a shout out here to Scooby making a brief visit for us. Congrats on Leeds. Unfortunately, yes, Adam Peters is a Leeds United fan as well. But congrats.
Did you know that before he mentioned it on the Pat McAfee show?
I did not. I'm very
I did not
disappointed.
either.
Leeds is actually one of the teams I don't like, but it's okay, Scooby. We'll find it.
He gets his
good.
day. Scooby gets his day, right? Yeah, wait
Yeah.
till next year when they
Yep.
get relegated again, right?
Exactly. Let's stick to football from the U.S., not football over across the pond. Jayden Daniels and his success. How much? A lot of people, Locked on Law, kind of kicked us off here, saying that he doesn't believe Jayden Daniels' success on the field is contributing to how successful the franchise is. And there's been a lot of props and kudos being given to the Hogs, the Harris ownership group, and rightfully so. They are doing the work. But how much can be attributed to Jayden Daniels being a franchise QB, being successful, most successful rookie QB ever in the NFL, and just being a likable guy? How much of the rise, how quickly it's happening, can be attributed to Jayden Daniels? Now, JG says, of course he is. If Jayden had been a bust, Harris would have been had a much harder time accomplishing what he had. Does anyone want to agree with Locked on Law or JG here? Which side do you guys land on with Jayden Daniels and his success contributing to the success of the franchise outside of what he does on the field?
Not a lot. I'm going to say 10% at most. I mean, because this is Josh Harris and the Hogs leadership group. This is, Adam Peters is a GM too. Like, it's the front office mostly dealing with the politics and the big bucks who are doing this. And they probably had talks when they were on the purchase order for the organization. Hey, can we host in 2027? They probably was very, very much so started before this past week. But to go along with that, Jayden Daniels, 10% at most. Yeah, he didn't pay for this or didn't sign a petition for that or whatever, but we're winning. We went to the NFC Championship in his rookie year, his first season. In the first full season as an owner of the team for Josh Harris, like first full season of everything brand new, and we go to the NFC Championship with a bunch of no names and a Jayden Daniels rookie quarterback. That's at least 10%. Okay, now if Jayden was a bust, Josh Harris would have had a harder time. Well, kind of, yeah, because we drafted him number 2 overall, and if he's a bust, then yeah, but that's just any given quarterback who's a bust that picked high. They would have a lot more to do. But like Josh Harris said, though, he's not worried. He's not on the football field. He's doing the business stuff behind the scenes. He's leaving that football field stuff to Adam Peters. So that would have fell on Adam Peters, not necessarily on Josh Harris. But 10% at the most. Just because he brought us NFC Championship and we won. 10%, if any, 10%. And that's probably like that,
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting question. I think it's kind of hard to really pinpoint it, but because there's no doubt that Harris, ever since he got here, he said basically his biggest thing was he wanted to get a stadium in RFK. That was like his biggest goal once he got hold of the team. So he was going to try for that no matter what, right? In the NFL draft, however, they said that Washington did try to get it in 2024, and it instead went to Detroit. They were one of the finalists. Instead, it went to Detroit. So there is a little bit of smoke to that fire in terms of maybe what's happening now with the organization and winning on the field is helping them off the field. There's certainly, you can't deny momentum, right? There could be something about whenever Josh Harris walks around and wants to get things done because of what happened on the field, right? Doors are opening a little easier maybe, or people are more willing to listen.
Maybe this was already in discussion, but since we won, they were like, "Oh, we can do this in 2 years. Let's not wait."
That's what I'm kind of
now
thinking.
that we're on
it's Jayden Daniels is gasoline. Okay,
there it is.
Josh Harris is out over there with his little stone and thing trying to kickstart a fire, and here's Jayden Daniels being a likable, exciting, phenomenal QB who brings back football in the DC area to prominence year one. And that's what I'm saying is this, he absolutely, like Josh Harris had plans and he brought in a bunch of business people and they wanted to do these things. And then the success that Washington had on the field through Jayden Daniels and Jayden Daniels being a likable kid, likable guy, right?
That
all
helps.
of a sudden, Josh Harris has an opportunity in front of him. Like that fire, it went from kind of kick starting some sparks to we have a bonfire like nobody's seen, and he's taken advantage of that. And I do believe that that success that we had in year one of Jayden Daniels is leading to us getting nicer things earlier than expected. And part of that is also the fact that he's getting his money returned, right? He and the ownership groups spent $6 billion for a franchise. When seats are selling and you're getting a your team into the playoffs and you're looking like you might be able to get a home playoff game eventually down the road, knowing more money is going to come in, people are happy. People are willing to get on there. If he looked good, but the team was 2-14 or 2-15 down to 17-1, you're still waiting. I guarantee you're still waiting for the good stuff to come.
Oh, yes.
I would agree for the most part. I would agree for the most part. Like, I think the stadium deal would have still gotten done, but maybe you'd have a lot more resistance just because nobody wants to be associated with a loser, right? In a losing organization. If you had a repeat, remember it was only the year before when this team was 4-13. If you had a second consecutive 4-13 season and you had a rookie quarterback who performed kind of like what Sam Howell did in his 1 year, and there wasn't a whole lot of hope, and you're like, maybe Dan Quinn's not the answer. We're out criticizing Josh Harris for a lot of things, right? If that was the case, nobody wants to be associated with a loser, especially the guy who had the press conference the other day to announce this. He doesn't want to bring a loser in there, a losing organization, the head of a losing company, and say, hey, we're gonna, this is a great thing, and you know what I mean, right? He's not gonna do that, so you lose that momentum. You still probably get it done at some point, but man, the what Jayden Daniels did in turning this franchise around on the field 100% has an effect on what's going on off the field. I don't know what that percentage is, but it certainly doesn't hurt. Yeah. It definitely doesn't hurt.
It's a non-zero number. For sure. A very non-zero number. He is phenomenal. In fact, you can make the argument that he is the best quarterback in the NFC. We'll make a argument that he's at least the best quarterback in the NFC East coming up here in the game. Stick with us. Welcome to the game here in episode 224. Do me a favor, hit that like button if you're one of the ones watching this live. Make sure you get the time and you're subbed up and sharing the content as well. And then as I asked before, make sure you go out and find us on your favorite audio platforms and just hit that auto download button for me. And if you can, leave a rating and review. It just helps other people find us. That's our big way with the Believe Network. Show them that we're worth keeping on the network. There's some things that they can help out with. And so we're hoping to leverage that, but you need to let them know that you're watching there as well. They get our YouTube numbers, but they care a lot more about the audio numbers. That being said, what we care about is winning on the field and being the beast of the East. And we're going to talk about who's the East's best quarterback, but I'm also going to extend it out to who's the best quarterback in the NFC, as there's argument that the NFC East is 1-4 right now, the top division in football when it comes to quarterbacks. And they're at least, I would say, 1-4, the top division in the NFC. So there's some hefty competition, but when you look at quarterbacks 1-4 leading the teams, NFC East has some pretty good resume. You got you got 2 Super Bowl winning quarterbacks. You got another Super Bowl. You got a couple of Super Bowl losses. in those as well. Russell Wilson, Travis looking like a crazed man there. Like, who are you talking about? I know he's old. I know he is not the Russell Wilson from before. He still beat us last year with the Steelers, and now he is with the Giants. He's who I would consider the fourth quarterback in the NFC East. Does anyone want to argue Russell Wilson above anybody else?
Dak Prescott.
You got him above Dak?
Yeah, because he stays healthy. Dak doesn't.
Well,
2 years of injuries for Dak Prescott, by the way. It's just
that's his.
But they were season-ending injuries
at this point.
They were season-ending injuries. And the time he was healthy, what was he doing? Nothing.
Winning.
12
this past season.
Games.
This past season before he got hurt, was he winning?
Yeah, he was not.
No, he was not good. He was not good. But the year before, Trav, we forget about 2024.
Dan Quinn was on defense.
He was second in the MVP voting.
Yeah.
And they won 12 games. Now they pooped the bed in the playoffs, but that's not really what that's
36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, a completion percentage of nearly 70%.
Yeah.
And a 12-5 record. I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah. I wouldn't put at this point. Dak gets a lot of disrespect. One, because of the team that he plays on, for sure. Right. But 2, probably because of that injury issue. But 3, mostly is because of their playoff non-success.
Does Dak have a Super Bowl?
He hasn't even been to an NFC Championship.
Okay,
he has
so I'm going Russell Wilson.
Playoff victories.
I'm going Russell Wilson. Sorry. Yeah. That one season before last when he had 36 touchdowns, cool. But did he go anywhere? No.
Yeah, that's part of it. That's part of it.
But
for
Trav,
sure.
I'm going into this next season. You're telling me you'd take Russell Wilson over?
Yes, because Russell Wilson has at least proved himself the past 2 years, whether it's poopy or not. He's finished the season, whether he started to hurt or not. He's finished the season. Dak has not finished the past 2 years to even say, "Hey, you were doing great," but then boom.
Not in the last 2 years. I'm gonna have to keep correcting you.
Last year. Sorry, last year then. Last year. Okay, we're basing off last year. I'm going Russell Wilson still if we're basing off last year because he finished and started the season with an injury. Didn't matter.
Yeah, 6-5 last year was Russell Wilson. Now, QB wins aren't a thing, and the team has to win. He himself contributed 63.7% completion percentage, under 2,500 yards, 16 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. And they loved him on the ground.
They loved him so much in Pittsburgh that they let him go in favor of nobody. What's the guy's name that's back there? The used Mason to be their Rudolph. Third string, Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
They have essentially chosen Mason Rudolph over. Now it's kind of a foregone conclusion that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign there, but that's where they're at right now. Is they've chosen Mason Rudolph over Russell Wilson. Would you choose Mason Rudolph over Dak?
Yeah, I'm not picking Dak for anything. What are you guys talking about?
He just lost his mind.
Yeah, you guys listening?
Yeah. Oh, look, he definitely gets a lot of disrespect, but
that doesn't mean he's the best number one paid.
I'm glad we're talking about them in the 3 and 4 position and not at the top. Yeah, I'm glad we don't have to argue our guy against those guys, right?
Yeah. I think Russell Wilson can still play the game of football.
Yep.
He is going into year 37. He's had a couple of meh years. Well, actually, I think he's on 3 meh years. Actually, looking back at it, his last year,
age 37, Trent.
Yeah,
age 37. Sorry, age 37. since 2021, he's just not been the same quarterback.
Yeah,
he's just not. Even though he made the Pro Bowl in 21, he made the Pro Bowl last year as well. That's cool. Really not a big accolade, but he's not been the same winning quarterback that he has been in years past. He's fourth on the list for me.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
You're sticking with it.
Yeah, because Dak, the regular season stats don't matter, bro. They don't matter. They do matter, but when you go talk about people winning at a position, what do you count? Either rings, playoff appearances, playoff wins or losses. Nothing to do with the regular season. And Dak has been a choke artist ever since he's entered the postseason. Russell might be old. He might be declining. He might have lost one when he could have had 2, but he won 1 and he's been to 2. And he's at least been to a conference championship. You can pay Dak all the money in the world, but you're wasting it for regular season stats.
Hey, Nathan, do you have Dak's numbers up right now?
Yeah, I do have his numbers up.
What is his playoff record in the last 5 years?
In the last 5 years, so going back to 2020, he is 4-4. Sorry. He is 1-3. That's what he is.
Okay. Russell Wilson in the last 5 years is 2-2. I mean, it's same.
Russell has a ring.
Years.
Russell has a ring. He's been there twice. He's been in the conference championship. Dak wins the regular season. That's all he does.
Do you remember when Russell Wilson won a ring?
Yeah.
12 seasons ago.
Do you remember when Dak Prescott went to the Super Bowl?
I'm trying to think. No.
Do you remember when Dak Prescott won a playoff game more than once?
He's not won more than 2 in a season.
Ooh, Jayden Daniels has won more than that. He's only been playing for 1 year.
Jayden Daniels, actually, my favorite NFC Championship game stat right now is that Tress Way has more passing yards in the NFC Championship game than Dak Prescott or Tony Romo.
Thank you. Put that man forth, please. Just for that alone. Put that man forth, please.
I really, really don't like being in the position of
having to defend Dak.
Yeah, defending Dak Prescott over here.
That's why I'm not. I would say even with George Pickens, which we'll talk about George Pickens coming to the NFC East later. I think Dak Prescott is going to have a season like he did after his last big injury. So in 2020, he only played and started in 5 games. They were kind of weak then too, Trev, 2-3, and he exits the season. This time he played 8 games. They were 3-5. Remember, they didn't look good even before Dak Prescott went down. They bounced back and had an 11-5 season. He completes again nearly 70% of his passes for almost 4,500 yards, 37 touchdowns to 10 interceptions.
Go regular season.
If you're asking me to have which quarterback I'm going to take the guy who's doing that for my team and hope that the rest of the team can carry him in the playoffs.
And by the way, I botched Russell Wilson's last 5 years playoff record. It's 0-1.
Okay.
In his last 5 seasons, 0-1. One game.
He's been.
I was about to say, because he's been really bad the last 4 years. He hasn't had a winning, or hasn't been on a team with a winning record, or at least he contributing to I guess actually Pittsburgh was a winning record, but he hasn't been a part of very good teams. All right, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson. These are 3 and 4. Can we move on the conversation?
Let's get to it.
All right. Locked on Law had said, and I didn't start, but he had said even Philadelphia Eagles fans can admit Jayden Daniels is the best QB in the NFC East. I'm going to give a shout out to our friend Phil, who does Trending in the AM, Philly fan. He's not going to agree. Coach Lombard, haven't seen Coach in a long time here on Ref the District. Coach would hard disagree. Philadelphia fans, I think their midnight green, their Kelly green, whatever glasses that they're wearing that looks like puke, they're going to disagree with the statement that Jayden Daniels. Now, we're no better. We're wearing burgundy and gold glasses over here. Okay. We look like a bag of McDonald's fries. All right. I get it. I get it. No, burgundy gold's the best color match. Don't get me wrong here. That's something they would say, right?
Yep.
Jayden Daniels, if you're asking which quarterback I want coming into the next season and who I feel is going to finish stats-wise, QB-wise, the best quarterback, I do not understand how you can look at these two and think that they're comparable. I like Jalen Hurts.
I do too.
I think that he's a good quarterback. I think he's a little bit more than what some people say. There's a lot of people who give him more hate than Dak Prescott's getting. That's partly because he's with a successful team, and he's got studs all the way across the board. One of the best offensive lines, probably the best receiving core. He's got a great defense. He doesn't have to do much, and so people say that he doesn't do much. he is a good quarterback, but he is nowhere in the same realm, in my opinion, as one Jayden Daniels.
If you asked yourself this question and you're being honest, so be honest with this, Trev.
Okay.
Which team has a better offensive line, Philly or Washington?
Philly.
Which team has a better receiving core, Philly or Washington?
Philly.
Which team has better tight ends, Philly or Washington?
Washington.
Which team has better running back room, Philly or Washington?
Well, all they got is Saquon. So running back room, us, but Philly.
Right. So they have everything around him that almost man for man, you would take their team, their guy over Washington's guy. That's just sorry. That's just facts at this point. And the thing is, he doesn't have to do as much because he has all that talent around him. So that's fine. He doesn't do as much. But Jayden Daniels had less to work with and had a much better season than Jalen Hurts did statistically in all areas. There literally isn't anything. There's not a regular stat, an advanced metric, a next-gen stat, a PFF stat, a quadrant stat, whatever those things are, where you have the four. There isn't one thing that Jayden Daniels did not excel in. There really is not one thing. Jalen Hurts has a few flaws that you can exploit. The problem is that the rest of the team is going to overcome that.
Right.
If a defense takes away something from him, the rest of the team can make up for that. But it's for me, it's very simple that Jayden Daniels did all of this with basically mediocre talent, and Jalen Hurts did less with more talent. And I understand he didn't have to because of the talent, but he didn't. And he's never been asked to carry a team for sure. You put Jayden Daniels on Philadelphia, do they win the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
If you put Jalen Hurts on Washington, do they win 12 games and go to the NFC Championship?
No.
Do they have 5 comeback wins in their last 5 games or wins at the last part of the game?
Right there.
Does he do that?
That's another question you can ask yourself. Game on the line. You have a chance to come back and do something magical. Who do you want to have the ball?
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts, Jayden Daniels. I'm going Jayden Daniels. Yeah, all the other stats and everything is cool. Like you said, Stoner, it really is. I'm not knocking it. But Jalen Hurts does not have that clutch gene. All season, this is the first time we've had this. I mean, the first time in a long time of being a fan of this team where we're like, oh, JD5's back there. We got a chance. I'm not that worried.
Yeah.
I'm not that worried. Last year, Sam Howell was like, all right, well, we got a chance. Let's see. But this year was like, oh, we get the ball back? Oh, JD5. Can you do that with Jalen Hurts? I don't think you really can because of the talent he has around him.
Yeah. And Jayden Daniels threw a touchdown pass in the last minute of a game 5 times this year.
5. That's what I mean.
In the last minute of a game 5 times this year. You know what the NFL record is?
6.
4.
It was 4.
Hey.
Yeah. Now it's 5 that Jayden Daniels. Nobody in the history of the NFL has ever done that.
Give me that.
That goes to your point, Trev. The clutch gene. That's what he's got, and that's what he's shown. And
I'm taking off the burgundy and gold glasses here a little bit. I do agree with you that Jayden Daniels is him, that he's got the clutch gene and everything, but to knock Jalen Hurts is a bit much. Well,
you have to knock him if you're gonna promote the other guy, don't you?
No, you don't. You can give them both accolades. You can say Jayden Daniels is better. In one season, he's done it more often than any other person, right? Mm-hmm. However, the year before, Jayden Daniels was still playing in LSU in 2024. The Eagles actually had a record at the time, 4 in a row comeback wins, led by one Jalen Hurts. He has 9 fourth quarter comebacks, 12 game-winning drives since playing in 2021. Last year, like I said, weeks 9 through 12, each of those weeks against against New Orleans, against Cleveland, against Washington, where he beat us 26-18. In Carolina, they had comeback wins, which he was a part of, and led the comeback in a game-winning drive. 4 games in a row, he did that, and 4 games in 2023, he did that as well.
And Jayden did that
against Washington, by the way, in 2023. Both of those games with Sam Howell at quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, look, I mean, I'm not in the business of putting down Jalen Hurts. I think he's the second best quarterback in the entire NFC. That's how much I think of him. I think he's
You've got to be kidding me right now.
Who's
Jared Goff ring a bell at all?
No. Goff. No. Jared Goff can throw the passes, but if you put an ounce of pressure on him, he crumbles. And he's done it time.
Jalen Hurts kind of does that too.
Jalen Hurts doesn't. He
don't rip off no 50, 60-yard scrambles like Jayden Daniels does, but he can move around a little bit. But in the other times he gets hurt back there trying to scramble around, that becomes a weakness. And Jared Goff over Jared Goff, really, bro?
Jared Goff is fine. Jared Goff is a top 5 quarterback in the NFC. But if you're asking me to start a team right now, I'm not starting with Jared Goff. That's me. I don't know if anybody else is starting with Jared Goff. I'm not.
Stoner.
Yeah.
Take A.J. Brown and Saquon Barkley and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert and let's say
the best offensive line.
Lane Johnson and another good offensive line. Take them off. You're really going to put Jalen Hurts still above Jared Goff?
Yeah. Yeah. If apples to apples, Trev, you got to take away Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery. Who's the tight end, the big tight end?
That's 2 running backs.
I don't care. You took away their entire team, right?
Pick one.
Okay, you can have David Montgomery. He stinks.
Okay.
Take away Jahmyr Gibbs. If you do the same thing to Detroit,
I'm going Jared Goff.
I'm not. He's a statue back there. He can't run like Jalen Hurts can.
Number 2.
Jalen Hurts is darn good.
Look at Nathan. I'm ready. Come on, Nathan. Where you got?
I wanted to get the list of NFC quarterbacks to kind of have to help this discussion. So I type it in, and I found an article posted 11 hours ago from CBS Sports.
Let's go.
Okay. Your NFL QB power rankings from 11 hours ago. Number 1, Jayden Daniels.
Nice.
Number 2,
Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Because he won a Super Bowl. That's why. Let's be honest.
He's been to 2.
Says here he was frequently and often unfairly knocked for holding more of a background role during much of the Eagles' Super Bowl run. But what more can you ask of this man when the lights shine brightest? His title campaign may have proved he's best suited as a selective rather than high-volume passer, but his instincts, toughness, downfield touch, and rugged mobility all show up in the clutch. That's coming from Cody Benjamin, by the way, from CBS Sports. I'm telling you, Trev, you're way too hard on him because he's a division rival.
No, I never liked him in Oklahoma, Alabama, and Mississippi.
Okay, Boomer Sooner, fair that I like the guy because of my Sooner roots. I liked him. I liked him when he was in Alabama, and he took a back seat to Tua. Came in, did what was asked of him when Tua got injured, and then he was like, okay, I need to do my own thing, and he came to the Sooners. That's fantastic character. Mm-hmm. The guy is a better football player than you're giving him credit for, which I think he's a better football player than most people are giving him credit for. He is not somebody, you're right. He is not a Joe Burrow-esque QB or an Aaron Rodgers type QB who is going to beat you with arm talent. But he is somebody who is smart, and it's 3rd and 3, and if I take Jayden Daniels out of the equation and it's 3rd and 3, what QB do I not want to face in the NFC? I don't want to face Hurts.
Correct.
Because he can beat me on the ground and he can beat me in the air.
3 yards.
He's really, really good at handing it to Saquon, though.
Exactly. That's what he's going to
really
do.
Come
on.
He can beat you either way, guys. He can beat you either way. And I'm just saying he's not better than Jayden Daniels. I'm not going that far.
No, he's not.
But you got to give him his flowers. The guy can play the game of football.
I'm sorry.
He will probably never knock the game manager type.
I was going to say
he's never gonna. I don't think he'll ever be the primary guy in Philadelphia. And if he leaves Philadelphia, I don't know that he'll ever be the primary guy. I feel like he's going to kind of follow
the
Russell
primary
Wilson.
guy.
He's not going to be the focus of the offense.
Okay, gotcha.
Right. I feel like he's going to be Russell Wilson-esque, although Russell Wilson was the fuel. You know, they had great running games, Marshawn Lynch and company out in Seattle, but Russell Wilson a lot of times was leading that offense. I don't think Jalen Hurts is ever going to be the guy in Philadelphia where he's the focus of the offense. And I don't think that he'll ever be the focus anywhere else, but he's a QB that just can win football games for you. He's a smart, intelligent QB. I don't need him to throw for 350 yards.
That's fine, but he's not going to win a game for you. Take that roster away from him. He's not going to win a game for you. He's just not. He's not going to do. You take him and put him on our roster instead of Jayden Daniels. He's not getting the NFC Championship with that. Are you kidding me? Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's been there twice, and he was crying because he didn't get enough credit at the Super Bowl run the one overtime. That's what he's a game manager with elite talent around him. Literally, that's all it is. That's all it is. They were talking about drafting another quarterback for him to replace him 2 years ago before he got this big old all-star roster the past 2 years. He was a trade topic. We were even talking on the show. Is he even worth what? Is he this and that? Are they going to draft a quarterback? Jalen Hurts? You know, he hasn't. If he was so good, why were we having that conversation just 3 years ago? Take the talent away from him, and he cannot beat you. He cannot do what Jayden Daniels did with Noah Brown, Brian Robinson Jr.,
I agree with
Austin
you there.
Eckler, De'Ami Brown, Zach Ertz, all these players.
Yeah, but we're not talking about that. I don't think anybody has a problem with not putting him over Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, I know, but I can't even have him at number 2.
If you put Jared Goff on Philadelphia, do they win the Super Bowl?
Probably. That's my whole point. The talent around it. We always mention the line is stacked, the defensive, everything is stacked, the receiving room is stacked, Saquon's stacked. All three of us could play a quarter of a game for that team, and we would have success because of
if you put Bryce Young on the Eagles, do they win the Super Bowl?
They might get there.
Ooh,
you saw what he did.
Now you're getting crazy
because he has the talent.
They definitely have tons of talent.
So take that talent away, and no quarterback is going to Super Bowl without that talent. Come on, let's be honest, you guys. Yes, he's good, but number 2 power rankings. Come on.
Yeah, no, I got him at number 2.
Joe Burrow did that with 2 wide receivers and nobody else. He threw for almost 5,000 yards and 1 million. Come on.
I'm not going to defend CBS's list.
I know, but do you see what I'm saying now with Jalen Hurts?
It went to the point of where Stoner's at. He's the second one. So let's go over some of the NFC quarterbacks, okay? NFC East, like I said, top to bottom. You got Jayden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Russell Wilson, and Dak Prescott. And to me, 1 through 4, I feel like that's the best 1 through 4 possibly in the NFL.
And how about this, Nathan? Also, the first time in NFL history that 4 black starting quarterbacks in one division.
Yep.
So that's a shout out. That's an accomplishment, and that's really cool too.
Huge.
Yeah, that is really huge. So, do you guys even have an argument for that one? Any other 1 through 4s you want to put up
in the NFC
and the NFL
or in the NFL?
In the NFL.
Well, because you got to think about it a little bit. You got in the West.
I got the names. You want the names?
Well, give me the West.
The
AFC
West is Bo Nix, Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith, and Justin Herbert.
That's pretty
better.
good.
That's better.
That's a
Geno
lot better.
Smith
actually.
is better than Russell Wilson at this point.
Yes.
Hello, they
He
traded
took his job. Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah, give me that one.
And the third best quarterback is Bo Nix. You take him over Dak Prescott.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes is number one, clearly, in that group.
Yeah.
The drop off to Justin Herbert is a cliff.
Stop hurting
my guy. It's a cliff. Then you got Geno Smith, who is on his like 7th team now. I mean, were we really talking about this? And Bo Nix, who, while people were fighting for him to have a snowball's chance and HE double hockey sticks at the offensive rookie, you talk about sophomore slump coming. Bo Nix Bo Nix is going to have
I don't know, man.
Not going to have as good of a season.
I remember watching Bo Nix in college, and I thought he was one of the worst quarterbacks I ever saw until it got to Oregon, obviously, and I thought he was just a system quarterback there. But I'll be totally honest. When I watched Jayden Daniels at Arizona State, I thought he was atrocious type quarterback, and people were kind of hyping him. And now, obviously, both of them got a whole lot better. But yeah, I was surprised by the success of Bo Nix. I'll be totally honest. But yeah, those four guys in that one, I think are probably it's a good argument.
Yeah. I just see, I think the highs are higher, right? Patrick Mahomes, obviously a top NFL QB, but then you get to the wide range there. You're not taking, to me, I'm not taking Bo Nix or Geno Smith higher than Dak Prescott.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, let me ask you this, Nathan. Would you take Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert?
Justin Herbert.
Hurts.
That
Get
would be
that boomer sooner out your system, brother.
Yeah, he's a little biased.
I'm low on Justin Herbert. I know that's Stoner's man crush.
You are.
Let's move on.
Wait till this.
If you think I figured maybe the North might have had a better chance. Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, but then you got Joe Flacco, Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
The East has Josh Allen, Tua, Drake May, and Justin Fields. You're not going to win me over on that one. CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence, and Cam Ward. No, you're not going to win me over in there. So, okay. So the West is comparable. I'll concede that.
Okay, cool.
All right. Let's go into the NFC 1 through 4. Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Jordan Love, and JJ McCarthy.
I mean, JJ McCarthy, you have no idea what he's going to be at this point. So you can't, but those other three are good.
Who?
And Jared Love,
Jordan
Love, and Caleb,
okay, good.
And Jared Goff.
Yeah,
I mean, that's three pretty good ones right there. But
Caleb's okay. He wasn't that good.
Look, Caleb. Let me just tell you right now. Chicago is a team you better be scared of this year. No. Chicago is going to be very, very good this year. All the things that they did in the offseason by totally revamping their offensive line, they got one of my favorite offensive linemen in the league, Tooney. I believe that's where he went from Kansas City to Chicago. They got another offensive lineman. I don't remember who it was. They brought in they drafted another wide receiver. And of course, when you got Ben Johnson coming in there to be the coach of Caleb, that's going to be a tough team to deal with.
We can't rank these QBs on what hasn't happened yet in this
that's
season. Fair. So if we're going to base off of last year, Caleb does not scare me one bit. We saw that.
Potential. There's potential there. I do think that he will be a good quarterback.
We're sleeping on him.
He though I don't think has shown quite the level that others, but he's a rookie quarterback and he's got time, and I think that he'll be a good QB for Chicago. And you guys know I love JJ McCarthy.
May I change I'm
not going to take
what I just said. Can I change what I just said? If Eric Bieniemy is a running backs coach in Chicago, never mind.
Thank you.
I take back everything good I said about the
When
Bears.
did that happen, Tommy? I didn't see that one. That's crazy.
That man out here begging for jobs.
Yeah, that's rough. All right. Michael Penix in the South. You got Michael Penix Jr., Bryce Young, Derek Carr, and Baker Mayfield.
Nope.
Yeah, that's poo-poo.
Yeah, all low, right? Kyler Murray out in the West with Stafford, Purdy, and Sam Darnold taking over in the Washington of the West.
Poopy. That's a bunch of poopy.
So that's what I'm saying is the NFC East has 1 through 4, probably some of the best quarterbacks, right? Their quarterbacks are up there on the 1 to 4. We said the West, AFC West, can possibly match them in that regard. I do feel like Bo Nix is under Russell Wilson, but that's me. That's me.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Nathan.
Yes.
And taking off your burgundy and gold glasses for a second. I'm curious about this because I've asked this question many times and I haven't gotten an answer yet. What is a Jayden Daniels weakness? Give me a weakness with taking, and I'm asking this to everybody here in the chat too. What is a weakness? Not his weakness, because you can always rack and stack what all his the good qualities that he has, and it's something that has to be on the bottom. But what is a weakness that can be exploited by other teams?
I'm not gonna listen to you at all. I'm gonna totally do the interview route when they ask you like, "What's your weakness?" But you really give them a strength disguised as weakness.
Yeah,
right. Okay. His is his overconfidence. Right. He is very confident in himself, and it's going to get him got one day. And we've kind of seen it where he's been a little bit overconfident in his ability with his legs. And we've seen a lot of those 0-yard rushes or sacks, as sometimes those get marked down, where he was better off throwing the ball away. But his overconfidence is where I'd go. I think Hermit's right. The weight is probably his size. The fact that he's not, he doesn't have a lot of bulk to him might be a more legit answer. But if I'm going the interview route where I take a positive and I try to turn it into a negative for this answer, is overconfidence.
Do you think that weakness was detrimental in a game this year? Do you think it cost him at any point in a game this year?
I don't necessarily can pinpoint, but maybe once or twice in those 5 comeback games that he did, maybe those 0-yard sacks, whatever, contributed to the way we had to make a comeback. At some point, maybe not directly before that, but maybe some point in the game where we're driving and then we got killed momentum because of that, and then we put ourselves in position to have to. But that's a hard question. Really, no. Like
would his reliance on his teammates, like his trust in his teammates, because there's a couple times where his trust in his teammates let him down.
Yeah, Noah Brown was one of those.
Couple dropped passes there did cost games. A bad spot in the Steelers game where he trusted Zach Ertz to get to the line, and Zach Ertz, to me, looked like he got to a first down, but was marked short.
But other than that, see, those you have to like go back, and if you don't really remember, like us, you have to go back and watch.
Yeah, I mean, I have tried. You know me, I'm going to look at things very objectively, and if I find a weakness of any kind. For anybody, and I think there are plenty of weaknesses to find in everything great that Adam Peters, Josh Harris, Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, all of those. I can find some weaknesses there. I can't find a weakness in Jayden Daniels, and I've tried just so that I could have like a contrarian thought,
come down to earth, like reality.
Yeah, and I literally cannot find a weakness in his game. That doesn't mean he's gonna, they're gonna win 12 games and he's gonna be MVP every year or whatever. But he just doesn't have anything that defenses can key on and be able to force him to do something that he's not good at, because there isn't anything he's not good at. Throw it long, throw it short, throw it intermediate, throw it on the run, throw it left, throw it right, get the play out. Yeah, throw in the middle, throw it quick, hold on to the ball till the last second, run it when you have to, prepare, be ready, be a good leader, be a good teammate. I mean, there just isn't anything that I've found in intangibles and tangibles, I guess. I haven't found it. And it's weird to say that. But here we are at that point. And I guess that weight thing that we're concerned about, that maybe that does come to bite him, and that he takes with the overconfidence and feels like he can make a play. Because let's be honest, in that Carolina game, when he got hurt, he should have veered right and gone out of bounds. And instead, he's like, I can outrun these MFers, right? And this is the NFL, I forgot. And maybe it injured him. So that could be an overconfidence thing that kind of bit him a little bit. Oh, and it seems like he learned from it, though. He didn't do that again the rest of the year.
Oh, he learned. His learning ability is off the charts. Fantastic. I want to point it out that overconfidence is also him continuing to play games despite having injured ribs, right? He could have.
He should have sat out a game or two.
He could have sat out. He let those heal up, but he's got confidence in his ability. He didn't look as crisp. Washington as a team didn't look as good during those injured ribs games. And then once he was healthy again, it was a whole nother ball game. And so maybe if he sits out a game or two, he gets healthier quicker. But he's got that mentality. He's got a shark mentality, man. He's got the blood in the water. He's going to get there. But I agree with Mike H. You got to hold your breath on some of those runs. Tommy T pointing out that Kirk Cousins is the same weight. But, that's no one picks on him. Tommy T says throws on the run. Stoner, you were going through all the different throws. Trev, do you remember last year how fun it was? Because in every game, when we were doing our preview, the big talk from the opposing fan base was, well, he can't do this good. And then all of a sudden, Jayden Daniels says, yeah, I can. Just wait. You don't think I can throw across the middle? Here's a bunch of passes through the middle. Oh, you don't think I can throw to my left? Here's a bunch of throws over onto the left. Oh, you don't think I can throw on the run? Here's a couple throws on the run for you.
And here's a Hail Mary
to my left or chase me to my right. I'm going to show you that I can throw either way.
And here's a Hail Mary for you.
Yeah.
I saw some of the best throws that I've ever seen from any quarterback, that plays that he made. That throw on the run against Cleveland when he was running to his right and he threw that absolute dime to Terry McLaurin deep down the right sideline.
Cincinnati.
No, I think it was the Cleveland game when he was on the run in the Cleveland game.
Yeah.
He threw that one. Terry was coming across the middle, and then he veered towards the end zone, and just perfect.
Yeah.
And the Cincinnati throw is still one of the best throws I've ever seen. When he threw that play, he waited, and I think Nathan talked about this at the time, which was so impressive, is that earlier in the game,
he had the learning ability.
Yeah, and he threw it, or he got out of the pocket too quick.
He flinched.
Yeah, he flinched, got out of the pocket too quick, didn't make the play. This time he says, I'm staying in there. I'm going to get pummeled, but I'm going to throw an absolute dart to probably one of the only guys in the NFL who can make that catch, by the way.
Yeah.
And Terry McLaurin. I mean, it was incredible play. And I've never seen that before, not just from in Washington, but I've just never seen those plays before.
Yeah, it was a zero blitz against Cincinnati, and that's when I think that's probably the game I realized the kid was super special. Like he was.
Do you remember he was 21 of 23?
Game.
Yeah, I remember
unreal.
That game.
Yeah, more touchdowns than incompletions. That's the first game. Like the first two games, he was good. That was the game that I was just like, this kid is special.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like the way that he was yelling at the sidelines, but what you're talking about in that learning ability. So the defensive coordinator, I can't remember his name right now. He ended up getting canned, and probably rightfully so. The defense was not as good as it needed to be out in Cincinnati. Part reason why they had a lost season there with Joe Burrow is they threw a zero blitz at him in the red zone and he got spooked. He flinched. He was falling backwards, and the pass was just no good.
Mm-hmm.
So later on, the defensive coordinator, it's in the red zone. It's a close game. Kid flinched before. I'm throwing the zero blitz again.
Mm-hmm.
Only this time, Jayden Daniels has learned. Both times he recognized what it was. The first time he didn't trust himself, and he didn't learn from it. He learned from it he didn't know what to do. He learned from that first zero blitz.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, perfect pass, Terry McLaurin touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
Washington ain't losing this game. Just amazing. That was 8 minutes apart. That's how quickly he learned from that game. Just an insane there. Now, I will have to disagree with Stoner. Trav, I don't know what pass you consider his best, but Hermit talks about the one that I think might actually be the best pass that we've seen from Jayden Daniels, and it's the bomb to Diami against Detroit.
Yeah.
When the corner put his hand in front of Diami's face.
Yeah.
Should have been called pass interference because ball was in the air. Yet all Diami Brown had to do was literally put the basket out, and it was right there. The ball was right there. Caught it with his eyes covered by the defender. That's how perfect. And by the way, that was in the pocket. That was one of those things that they said you couldn't do. Keep him in the pocket, and you'll be able to beat him. No, I can beat you staying in the pocket. I don't have to run to beat you.
Me personally, I'm gonna give Diami more credit than that throw for the catch. I mean, yeah, it was a great throw, but
the concentration was good from Diami.
It was, yeah. I mean,
he didn't have a choice, Trev.
Yeah, what exactly?
The pass was so good, he didn't have a choice but to get.
Yeah, so he caught it blindfolded pretty much,
yeah.
And luckily he put his hands out and it was there. But I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or whatever, but I just give more credit to Diami because
fair.
The quarterback can make that same throw from the pocket with no pressure. But the catch was even better.
He had pressure.
Blindfolded.
There's pressure.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. The catch was better because you can't see, so you're like, okay.
Yeah, that pass to McLaurin against New Orleans when he's running left and he stumbles.
Oh,
and he
that
was.
That was a good one.
That JG.
Yeah.
Who was the one who mentioned that? Was Grimjaw who had mentioned that one?
Yeah.
That was the one. Yeah, from New Orleans. That was a good one. JG sitting here saying the only thing missing from Jayden Daniels' season was consecutive. I think it means games with no interceptions. I think he came close. Was it? Or because he says consecutive passes with no interceptions. I'm not sure, JG, what we're looking for.
Maybe he was getting close to a team record or something for most passes without an interception.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, most consecutive passes without a pick. Because I mean, he only threw what he throw 9 picks,
less than 10.
Yeah, less than double digits. I mean, for a rookie, I mean, and you can zero blitz him, you can rush 3 guys and put 8 in coverage. You can do whatever, and he's going to beat you. He's going to beat you from the pocket. He's going to beat you out on the corners, on the edges. He's going to run. There was nothing that you threw, that any team threw at him that he couldn't beat. I mean, even when they only scored 23 points in the NFC Championship game, they had 5 fumbles or whatever, or 5 turnovers, and one was a pick at the end when he was just desperate, and he threw it to that linebacker. But I mean, what a season! It's just so much fun to just remember all those passes.
Tommy, with the trivia that I feel like we all remember it right now. Yeah, it was Trent Scott.
Yeah, I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be fun in like 10 years.
Yeah.
When he's got close to like 300 touchdowns at this point, if not more, then it'll be time to be like, well, who caught the first one? But like right now, I think we all will remember the Trent Scott. I remember it also because it was actually Trent Scott's first touchdown.
Sure.
And they asked him, who gets to keep the ball?
Yeah.
Jayden Daniels, in case you didn't know the question.
I don't let Trent have it. He's been grinding so long in the league.
Yeah, I get it.
Jayden walks in and gets the ball for throwing it. Nah, dog. Give that to Trent.
Yeah, that's mine.
How many big man touchdowns are you going to be able to?
He's in the trenches every day of his life.
We can stop reminiscing about how awesome Jayden Daniels is. Let's actually stack him. Is he the best quarterback in the NFC? Stoner says yes.
Yeah.
Trev?
Yeah.
Yes. burgundy and gold glasses off, and we're still giving him it over Jared Goff, over Matthew Stafford.
Yeah.
The problem is guys, I really, like I said, once you get outside of our division, Jordan Love is probably maybe top 5
in the NFC.
Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, who I've never been that high on. He's going to get paid, and I just don't see it. Sam Darnold is going to make Seattle fans cry.
JJ McCarthy.
I love JJ, but I was on record saying that he was going to have the best NFL career, and that may be true. But I don't know. Jayden Daniels is again that Cincinnati game changed my mind.
Sam Darnold's got his career back. I mean, he took who do you have in Minnesota? Justin Jefferson. Who else?
KJ Osborne.
No, huh?
Addison.
Yeah, Jordan Addison.
Who else?
Aaron Jones.
Come on. Who else?
What do you mean? A good offensive line, a good coordinator, like
good tight end. Who's their tight end?
I forget their tight end, but he does have a good tight end out there in
Hawkinson's
Minnesota.
in Detroit now, right?
Yeah, they switched, didn't they?
Yeah, so I don't remember. Yeah,
exactly.
They do have a good guy because I remember when going through the tight end rankings, it was weird to see Minnesota up there.
Wasn't bad. That's my whole point. Leading to Jalen Hurts. Sam Darnold had talent, and Sam Darnold, they won 11 games. Take away a talent, what do you have? We saw that already in New York.
Sam Darnold, Sam Darnold also did not have the track record before.
Talent helps.
Talent does help. All right, so we're saying there's nobody on here. If Jalen Hurts is number 2 for Stoner, who's your number 2? Who challenges Jayden Daniels for that number 1 spot?
No one, bro.
We got to have a number 2.
Well, who's the number 2 though in the entire NFC?
They'll be there, but they just won't challenge. Jared Goff.
Loser. Excuse me.
Who would you put at number 2?
I already told you, Jalen Hurts.
Come on, man.
Jared Goff.
He hasn't done anything.
Well, who hasn't? Jalen Hurts?
Jared Goff got traded from the Rams to the Lions and brought the Detroit Lions franchise back. Philly drafted Jalen Hurts and was talking about trading him just a year or two after that. And then Howie was like, let's get talent around him. And now he's the number 2 quarterback. Come on, you guys. I know I'm making sense a little bit, right? A little bit. A little bit.
No, not at all.
Jared Goff, I can give you top 5. I don't think I can give you 2.
I can't put
we got to vote from F Dallas for Stafford.
Okay, I'll put Stafford is 2. Yeah, better than Jalen Hurts.
Better than Goff for sure. Baker Mayfield, Boomer Sooner Love. Baker Mayfield had a good season for Tampa Bay last year, and
they won 9 games.
If I think if they didn't have injuries, they had a lot of injuries, then I think that would be they'd have more wins. But you remember, wins are not a QB stat.
I kind of think. Well, Trev, I think thinks defensive ends is a win stat, or wins are a defensive end stat.
No.
Well, I mean, whenever somebody doesn't have wins, any player, then you automatically say they suck.
I mean, Jayden, I just saw what you guys witnessed. Jayden Daniels had a below bar team and took him to the SEC championship. That's what that's a quarterback. Someone who gets placed in with a team full of talent is a game manager who plays quarterback.
Yeah, all right.
And he's number 2 on my list as well. But Stafford's close. Stafford's probably number 3 for me. I think that there's some other good quarterbacks. I like Jordan Love as well. I think Kyler Murray might have a better year this year than he did. Some people still like Brock Purdy. There's some Jayden Daniels cannot rest on his laurels. He's going to have a repeat good season to make people believers of him, because while we wear the burgundy and gold glasses and we say he's the best, and that CBS article said that he was the best QB heading into the next season, Philadelphia fans have to be taught a lesson. Now, for that to come, we mentioned Jalen Hurts has a fantastic set of wide receivers and running back room to help him out. Jayden Daniels did get a fourth rounder, 128, Mr. Jalen Lane, who is a little bit of speedster. Roger thinks he's going to be pretty good once people realize he can run routes. Well, right now, all we have to know is what number is he wearing? It's Jersey Talk coming up in here. The cool down. Stay with us. Welcome to the cool down. That might have been the most ham-fisted segue I've had on the show in 224 episodes, but we got there. The rookie numbers are out. The free agent rookie numbers are out. We got helmet news, and we got George Pickens in the NFC East. All things we're going to talk about here in the cool down. Let's start off with the numbers, which Trev has, which means if Trev has news and notes for us, we got Trev's news and notes.
For all your Commanders news and notes, it's the TNN. Here's Trev.
Love playing that. We're going to get into the news and notes here because you got the numbers. There was one thing that popped up when the numbers came up there. We had a question in our Ref the District chat.
Yeah, so I'll start off with the 2025 free agents numbers because that's what that segue to. First up, we got Will Harris, number 3. Michael Gallup, number 12. And I kept looking. I'm like, wait a minute. If Michael Gallup is number 12, then what's Luke McCaffrey going to wear? So I sent it to the group chat, and Stoner Nathan, the great researchers they are, found the tweet from the team website.
From
April 2nd. Luke McCaffrey is now wearing number.
What happened? Did we lose
he
Trev?
froze
11.
out on us. Yeah, there we go.
Do that again.
Yeah, all three of us
Luke
are
McCaffrey
frozen.
is what?
You were frozen and you were frozen. We were all like, all right.
Go back to Luke McCaffrey is
Number 11.
Number 11.
Number 11 now. Yeah, they had some movie thing or like some.
Oh, yeah, they changed his jersey number, but they didn't change the helmet number.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
really?
There was just the 11 on the jersey change. I didn't even remember what number he was last year. The guy ran a lot of cardio. I mean, I loved him on the kickoff returns, but I couldn't remember his number.
So
yeah,
Josh
Luke is
Johnson,
wearing 11 now.
the quarterback, journeyman cornerback who we signed in the offseason. I don't know if anybody heard that or not. He's back in Washington. He's wearing number 14. No, Sam Howell's old number. Also, Zacchaeus' number from last year.
Oh, quick question on that. Does Josh Johnson make the roster as QB3?
No.
Well, wow, that was quick. Sam Hartman is still QB3?
Yeah, you see that connection him and Jayden have?
Your QB3, I know we kept Driscoll for a long time. I don't think your QB3 is a 35-year-old veteran QB.
I think they got
QB3 is a developmental QB who's maybe a vet. If he's a vet, he's a young vet. He's not. You don't keep QB3 as a Josh Johnson could go to the practice squad. Josh Johnson's going to be available on the street. You can always call Josh Johnson up if you need QB5 on the season.
That's interesting. I kind of think that he's going to be QB3. I think Sam Hartman's going to be the one to find himself on the street. Obviously, it's total opinion. I mean, we haven't seen really either of them play in the last couple of years, but Sam Hartman. Anyway, I don't want to talk bad about Sam Hartman, but Sam Hartman can't play.
Our wives are watching. Our wives and girlfriends are watching. You can't talk bad about.
All right, keep going with those numbers, Trev.
Newly signed kicker Matt Gay is wearing number 16. I don't even know if anybody was with that.
Wow, 16. Who's anybody in the history of the Redskins / WFT / Commanders that's worn 16 proudly that we can recall at any point? 16. No, I don't know. Maybe a receiver. I don't know.
Newly signed cornerback Jonathan Jones is staying in 31 that he had with the New England. Javon Kinlaw, 52. I think he had that at the Jets. Nate Herbig. I'm really excited about that offensive lineman for you.
Can you go back to what's his name?
Brandon Banks, 16, baby.
No, you're right.
Thank you, T-Rose. Jonathan Jones.
Yeah, F Dallas.
No, after that.
Javon Kinlaw.
Kinlaw.
52.
Is it interesting to anybody that he's wearing 52?
He wore that in New York last year, too.
Yeah, that's
They
not
got
really
rid
a
of
DT number.
so they got rid of the
I
number system, and
I know, but
the
you
numbers
still-
are all over the place. I miss wide receivers in the 80s. I know I'm on an island here. I know that I'm not dying on this hill by any means, but I miss wide receivers in the 80s. I like my tight ends in the 80s. If you're wearing like a 47, then like Captain Chaos did and whatnot, then you better be that transition guy, the guy who could be a halfback, the guy who could be a tight end. Ben Sinnott is a prime example. The guy is really a fullback, right? And I meant fullback, not halfback. But yeah, just give me tight ends with eights.
You know how you said you couldn't remember what Luke McCaffrey's number was?
I could not remember for the
right?
life of me that he wore number 12.
I can't tell you what number Ben Sinnott. I saw so little of Ben Sinnott on the
82.
field last year.
He is 82.
Ben Sinnott's 82.
Yeah.
See, I would have said like 45 or something. Maybe that was Yankoff or something. But
learn your players, son.
I'm just saying that I couldn't remember it. I couldn't remember Sinnott. I saw so little of him. 27% of the offensive plays.
Locked on, I'm coming. I'm not to the rookies yet. I'm coming. Hold on.
Yeah, come on. Chill out there, Locked on. Yeah.
Nate Herbig, new O-line. We got 53. I don't know who we got. Jacob Martin, defensive end, 55. KJ Henry's old number. Foster Serrell, I guess offensive lineman, 79. Deatrick Wise Jr., he's keeping his 91 from his Patriot days. And I forgot about this signing. Eddie Goldman, 97, defensive tackle, keeping his number from his previous years, too. All right, on to the rookie numbers. Locked on Law kicked us off. First round pick, Josh Connerly is wearing 72.
I like it.
Shout out to Charles Leno. Trey Amos is taking Lattimore's old number at 23.
Love that number. And Chris Rodriguez's number before Lattimore got there. Remember, that was in season.
Oh, yeah.
Rodriguez was what, 36 last year?
Yeah, I think
after Lattimore, he was
after Lattimore, 36.
All
yeah.
right. Jalen Lane, 83. That's his college number.
There we go.
Who's that? Crowder last year?
Yep. James Crowder had 83. Yep. James Thrash was 83.
Oh, nice one.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Davis?
Fred Davis, 83.
Fred Davis,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
By the way, 11 D-Jacks.
Oh, yes.
Maybe Luke McCaffrey will be Sean Jackson.
I love those days. Kane Medrano, 56, linebacker out of UCLA. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, 32. Old JP Patterson's number.
Oh, yeah.
JFP. Crowder had 80. Someone had 83 last year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Crowder was 80.
And yes, Locked on Law correctly pointing out.
Sorry.
72 is also Dexter Manley's number.
Yeah.
Charles Leno, friend of the channel. We appreciate Charles for helping out the show a couple different times. Him and his wife, fantastic people. But yes, Dexter Manley, probably more prominent of 72.
32 is a great running back number.
You like 32?
Right. I mean, just for a running back, that's kind of old school. That's what all the old school running backs, the great ones, OJ Simpson. I'm trying to think of guys like that wore 32.
28 is my running back number. Like
really?
26 is fine. 26 is pretty good. We got Clinton Portis in 26, but 28.
Is that another Boomer Sooner Adrian Peterson?
You know it, baby, all day.
Hey, Trev.
What up?
The Commanders have like 4 numbers that are retired. One's 28, and he ain't a running back.
You're right.
This is fair.
You're right.
Yeah.
Daryl Green, if anybody wants to know, Daryl Green.
Who's also my favorite Redskin of all time. But
Ricky Sanders,
Ricky Sanders 83.
Mark Rippon, number 11. And then I guess just from social media, Noah Iggy is switching to number 6. Debo
Well,
Samuels,
he was at least wearing that in the OTAs
in training.
or whatever they call.
I guess Debo's number 1 again, back to wearing number 1.
Yep.
And then
I do remember that one. Yep.
Is that it?
Here's a question. Where do you guys kind of stand on number 1? Not the number 1, but where do you guys stand on jerseys being retired officially and jerseys being retired like unofficially? Right? Like number 7 is unofficially retired here, right? Because of Theismann. Right. I mean, it was. I mean, Haskins had to ask.
You have to get permission from the
is
legend.
it like the Abdul Carter thing? Asking for Lawrence Taylor, asking for everybody, this and that.
Asking for Phil Simms' number.
I mean, this goes to what Tommy T's here asking.
Yeah.
Also is like, what if Gabe Taylor makes the team? Long shot. Even Tommy T knows this. And wants 26 from McNichols or 36 from Chris Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Or, heaven forbid, retired number 21.
No, I don't think Gabe personally will want 21, but I could see him wanting 36 or 26 from not 26, 36 or what was the other one?
36 or 26 or 21.
26, 36 or
not 21, but 26, 36. I could see that. And you kind of have to. Sean Taylor's brother, bro. You kind of have to.
Yeah, but there are just some numbers that are unofficially retired that maybe you shouldn't touch.
Well, why not treat 7 the way that, I mean, we're not going to with Jayden Daniels wearing 5, but why not treat it like the number 88 out in Dallas, right? You have
make
to
it like a special.
It's a special thing, right? You have to have you have to be designated that number. That's not a number you can choose. That has to be something that's kind of bestowed upon you.
So they did that for Des Bryant?
That's how 7 is done. It's not. It probably will get retired. And Mike, they did retire number 28 just this past season. Just to let you know, and I don't think it's a dumb question. You don't have like I know you're getting some crap for it in the comment section, but Mike, fair question. It was retired. I believe it was the Carolina game.
Yeah.
Sure.
I remember the talk around it being, I'm glad they scheduled a winnable game.
Oh yeah.
Because in past, when they've tried to do these big celebrations, they're against heavyweights, and it's just like you don't schedule your homecoming game. If you're in high school against a team that's gonna smash you, right? You don't want to be trying to have a celebration and go into the locker room down 50 points, right? And it's like, I think it was Carolina. Someone correct me if I'm
looking it up right now. I think it was Carolina. It was at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's Carolina.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But yeah, the official retire. I'm okay with your question, Stoner, as far as what do we feel about like the unofficial retired. I'm okay if the team works with that as a designated thing. There are only 99 numbers. Well, now that you got the 0 number to work with, there's 100 numbers to work with. You can't sit there and retire, especially if you got a successful franchise. You can't sit there and retire half your numbers.
Sure.
So some of them are going to have to be unretired and used.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm okay if there's ones that are kind of like, you can't touch that one unless, like for special circumstances, 88 in Dallas. I think there's other ones. I think there's other teams that do that, but maybe 7 is one of those numbers here. But
okay, then bring that back up. That one you just had up there. Can you do? Let's just say that Gabe Taylor makes the team.
Okay.
Can you do that? Can you bring 21 out of retirement?
Do you have to ask the family about that?
No, I mean he is the family, right? I mean he's the
yeah, you're right.
Right, I mean he's the family, so he wouldn't do that without the family's permission. But I don't think you do that, even if he does make the team.
Unretire that. Yeah,
it's not a unofficially retired number. It's a retired number, man. You can't bring that out that's just me.
I'm with you, Stoner. I'm with you. Oh, I gotta remember you used to do that. Get close to the deal there. I'm with you, Stoner. When it's retired, it's retired. All these rookies asking the retired numbered legends for their number is insanity.
It is.
Yeah.
Haven't even played a single down of NFL football, and you want Lawrence Taylor's number because you're number 1 overall or whatever. Get out of here, bro.
The average NFL career is like 3.5 years. The bust rate, even on first round picks, is it's like a coin flip. And you're telling me you're going to go up to Lawrence Taylor. You're going to go up to Darryl Green. Now that 28's retired, Grimjaw pointing out one was unretired for Neighbors. You're going to go up to Darryl Green, and you're going to be like, I'm a running back. I think 20. I'm with Nathan from Left the District. And 28 is a great running back number, and I want to wear that. You can't. I can't get on board with that.
Wasn't AP? Wasn't that his number in Minnesota? Was 28? It was
his number, and it was his number
in college too.
In college, yeah.
It
was his number, and he wore 26. He wore 26.
That's right.
He wore 26. Right? He's not gonna wear.
Right.
I mean, I just don't.
Did he ask Clinton Portis to wear that?
Well,
Clinton Portis is not special enough to warrant asking.
There's another good question. What number in Washington's history, other than Theismann right now at number 7, what number should be unofficially retired?
71.
That's not bad.
A lot of people in a recent poll, did say the best lineman from Washington history was Trent Williams.
Yeah, but he's only going to have half his career here.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you, and I personally voted for Russ, but Russ Grimm. But Trent Williams does have a lot of fan love, even afterwards. 44. Jack is saying.
Yeah.
81 from F Dallas. 72. Jim Sleazy. We just talked actually about this. Connerly, our first round pick, took 72. But I kind of agree. Dexter Manley, pretty special. But I think the moment's passed at this point. You've got Charles Leno recently wearing it. You got Connerly. I don't know that there's any, and I agree, Doug, is recency bias. I think we've seen people wear 81. How many people have we seen wear 44 though?
That's a good question. That I'd forgotten about 44, but
I don't think anybody's wearing 44.
I don't.
The only 40s I can think of is 45 Mike Sellers, 47 Chris Cooley, 46 Alfred Morris.
I think 44 would be a special one to kind of have in that zone. If it's not retired, it's unofficial. The problem is, when it's unofficial, do you only give it to if you like bestowing it, like we said, like the 88s in Dallas? Are you only giving it to a running back? What running back this day and age is going to take 44? That's like a safeties number. Now,
but if we drafted Cam Scatterbo, I bet he would take 44.
So I researched it real quick. AI is pretty amazing. I mean, it's going to take over the world and kill us all, but AI is pretty amazing.
only because the only stories about AI are about it taking over the world and killing us. Start writing positive stories for AI to learn. Okay.
Tyler Warren wore number 44 as a tribute to his favorite player, but that's it. Since Reagan retired, Tyler Warren is,
I think 44 just ends up being retired.
Yeah, it will. I think it will eventually as well at some point. Yeah.
So 84 for Gary Clark.
I mean, look, Gary Clark is he's in the Ring of Honor.
92 Albert Hainsworth.
There is a difference. For me, there is a distinction between retiring a number and putting a guy in the Ring of Honor. right? I mean, you have to be special to have your number retired.
Yeah.
And I don't think 84 gets there.
Ooh.
81, you might be able to convince me.
Art Monk,
You might be able to convince me. But 84, yeah, I mean, look, he was great, and he's still part of this organization. But I don't think you can convince me on that. And you can't convince me on 7 either. 7 can be unofficially retired, but not officially.
Joe Jacoby's number? What was he? 60-something?
See, Grimm was 68. Lachey was... I don't remember Jacoby. Sorry, that was too long ago.
Okay.
Locked on Law, if Ken Houston's number isn't retired, 4 should not be retired.
Does anybody wear 4 nowadays? Did Curtis Samuel wear 4?
4's been worn a couple different times. I don't know if he missed the button there, maybe because we're talking about 44, that it was supposed to be 44. Let's move on from the numbers talk on the jerseys.
Okay.
Let's move to the helmet news real quick before we do get to JG here, who said, "Hey, weren't you going to talk about Pickens? I can take math class."
Ooh, sorry, JG.
Sorry, JG. JG, the resident producer of Ref the District.
Took Gus Bus's job over. Gus Bus ain't been. Where's Gus Bus at?
Yeah, where's Yam?
We got a couple people that aren't here, but we do appreciate those who are coming, like Kurt Smith, 17 for Doug Williams, maybe 89 for Santana Moss. I said I was going to move from the numbers, but those were 2 that I wanted to kind of shout out there. 17, I don't think is going to be Doug Williams' number ever at this point.
I tell you, the next one's going to get retired.
5 is it might not be the next one to get retired, but it is one. But 17 might be a special one going past Terry McLaurin years. Might be one of those ones. I would give 17 to Terry McLaurin over Doug Williams, and I know that's blasphemy. Just remember, everybody, I picked Russ Grimm over ridiculous. Trent Williams, even though the Boomer's sooner. Okay, just don't kill me. Heineke was 4 for a Grimm job. Why?
And Luvu too. Luvu's 4.
Luvu's 4. Yeah.
This is I know. Sorry, JG. One more thing from me anyway. But talking about this is a little bit Redskin adjacent in that at the University of Florida, their best defensive player wears number 11, which is for Steve Spurrier, which is a retired number at the University of Florida. Steve Spurrier, the best player, best coach in the history of the school, but they wear it on defense as they give it to like their special guy, kind of like the 88 in Dallas, that you have to be assigned 11. You don't get to pick 11.
Jeremy Chin, 11.
Yeah, Jeremy Chin. And now Luke McCaffrey.
Yes. All right. Let's move to the helmet talk. Real quick is in July, we're going to get information on an alternate helmet for the teams. Washington is going to be one of those teams. Stoner, I think you might have the details more handy than I do right now. Do you know? Stoner got way wide. No, way wide on that one. Doesn't have it. Don't worry. I will do my usual.
It's just a rumor, though, at this point.
Did you see the comment on the screen?
Isn't it just a rumor at this point about the helmet? I mean,
Jerry Fowler has key intel.
Fowler, okay, that's pretty decent.
So the or no, sorry, that was the wrong one. But let me find that one. That was Fowler was the Amos injury, which we will get to here in a bit as well. All right, sorry, Jake Russell.
That ain't doing it for me.
Not doing enough for you.
No, different Russell. Different. That's a different Russell. That's Chris Russell. But
not doing enough for you. So from the sportslogo.net, logo and uniform news, like legit, the one thing that they do here says that the Commanders have worn black alternate helmets alongside their black alternate uniforms since their rebrand from the Washington football team in 2022. We expect, we being the sports logos, right? The journals, whatever you want to call them, blogs. Source. This source expects they'll adjust the decals to match their standard burgundy helmets rather than add a new gold helmet or any other color shell. Doug saying would really like a white helmet for the all whites. Wear a red helmet with black unis. What are you guys thinking on the July? We are going to hear some information. That part is they're gonna. We already know there's buzz in Washington about a new uniform.
Right.
Where do you guys stand on the uniform talk?
So they're saying instead of the number on the black helmet, put the logo.
The W.
Yeah, put
I
the
like
W.
that. I never liked the number on that black.
Yeah,
helmet,
I didn't really care
on
for
the
that
front.
either.
I'd rather. Yeah, that's cool with me. I'm cool with
and
that.
And they had the W on the front, right?
Yeah, barely. It's like a little sticker on the stripe, but that should go on the side. The number could go there. Instead, just switch them. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
If you have to. Red helmet, black unis. That's going to be hard on the eyes.
I just wish they would have gone with black matte. I love the burgundy matte helmet. I think that looks super sharp.
Oh, yeah.
And then they went black shiny, and I just felt. It felt off.
Well, there's a good question. Will it go to a matte finish on that black, or would it stay with the shiny?
It'll probably be shiny.
I hope it goes to matte since the other one's matte with the logo. That would be sweet, Nathan.
We didn't like a lot about the rebrand. They got the W right.
Oh, for sure.
I mean,
that W is fire.
You know what I mean?
We all like the W, but you know how many people talk about the double being awful? Like so many people hate the W. They really do. I personally, I love the W. I mean, it's not as iconic as probably the curly W, right? Even though a lot of people call that the Walgreens logo for the Nationals and everything like that. But I think that's time, right? Over time, after Jayden Daniels wins his 5th Super Bowl in a row, I think people will come around to the W. Tommy likes it. Hermit hates it. Doug likes it. F. Dallas hates the W.
You will never buy Commander's gear.
Van Guardian hates it. The W is booty, says Igwe. It's we also know the face masks are changing, right? Like that's something that we know because that was leaked in the draft videos.
Are they going back to the yellow crossbar? Like
you want to go to the yellow bars? Yeah. So
can we call it gold? Can we stick with burgundy and gold instead of saying red helmet and yellow
gold? Yeah. Let's
keep
gold, yes, sir. Sorry.
All right. Let's move off from the helmet news and the number news. Let's get back to football.
Yeah, baby.
Trey Amos reported that he had Jeremy Fowler. That was actually what I brought up from ESPN. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN reported that Trey Amos's slide to 61, where Washington took him and largely viewed as a draft steal because he's got first-round talent. Turns out there was a back injury that teams knew about through the physical, which led to him falling to 61. What do you guys think about that particular piece of intel?
I ain't worried about
ESPN.
Apparently, according to Jeremy Fowler, an AFC executive came up with this. And as far as I'm concerned, y'all would say that since y'all haven't been in the Super Bowl lately. NFC has. No, I mean, of course, this is going to come out. It's the draft. This is going to come out. But I trust AP. I'm pretty daggone sure AP and company knew about this.
Yeah, of course.
They're not concerned enough to draft him where they drafted him.
Yeah.
So every player has a nagging injury, okay? And it always comes out after the draft. This is why they slid. Okay, cool. AP thought he was a first-round talent as a steal, and I'm with AP as a first-round talent as a steal, back or no back. I ain't worried about it.
I mean, we don't have access to his medical records. So we kind of have no idea whether it was serious or not. And Adam Peters does have access to his records.
There you go.
And for sure, he saw whatever concerned this AFC executive saw, and he still made the decision to essentially run to the podium to make that pick at 61.
Stop being scared. It's just also off season. Nothing else to talk about.
Johnny Newton had pretty big injury concerns prior to him being taken. The team was really happy with him. I know maybe not across the board on ref the district.
What did you just say?
I know you didn't say that.
What did he just say, Nathan?
I know you guys aren't as high on Johnny Newton. He was the one who said that he sucked.
What?
Stoner was.
I didn't say he sucked.
What did you say?
I said he stinks.
Stinks. Oh my goodness. We're gonna move past this.
Get out of here.
Johnny Newton had known injury concerns. Obviously wasn't a concern for Adam Peters. And I feel like it wasn't a concern with the back, obviously, because he took Trey Amos at 61. I feel like the comments about this and everything is he had to stop somewhere. Look at Mike Johnson, another high profile one who had some injury concerns as well. Eventually somebody takes them because the talent outweighs the risk. 61 was where he stopped. My guess is that AFC exec probably would have taken him with their next pick. Because again, the talent eventually outweighs that risk. And that's just something you're like, yeah, we didn't take him with our first 2 picks because, there's some concerns. And, of course, there's other guys on the board we want. But eventually you have to take the most talented player on the board. And that ended up being Trey Amos at 61. So yes, I don't think we'll experience it. I think it's a good thing that we took a cornerback. And Trev, you kind of think Adam Peters thinking 2 steps ahead with this one.
Yep. You guys, George Pickens is now a Dallas Cowboy. Steelers traded him to Dallas. They finalized the deal today. Now it's CeeDee Lamb, who seems to give us problems no matter who's throwing him the ball, honestly. And George Pickens, kind of same thing. If you guys recall last year, different cornerback room, yes, but last year Pickens embarrassed us with Russell Wilson throwing him the ball. So at first I was like, I'm not worried about it. Dak's his quarterback. I said in the group chat. That changed. That's out the window because anybody can throw these 2 guys the ball and they're playmakers. But I do just kind of off the wall thinking, whatever. But I think that Adam Peters, just because we've seen how he moves quietly and makes big moves quietly, and he's so invested and he's just a football guy, he definitely had an inkling about this trade before the draft, during the draft, whatever. I don't think this was something that the Cowboys and Steelers just said, hey, you want to do this? Okay, cool. They were definitely talking about it, along with the Shedeur Sanders controversy, whatever. So, and I do believe that's why we kind of drafted the way we did. We only have 5 picks. Yeah, we took O-line first, but then we went and got Jonathan Jones in the offseason. Whether you like him or not, he's a proven cornerback in the league a little bit. We went and got Lattimore last year, mid-season. Now he's healthy. And then we go and get Trey Amos to help. We got Mikey Sanders still too. And we take another corner the year after we take another corner. I think he had a little inkling about this. Because now, not only do we have Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton, we had A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, and then CeeDee Lamb. Now everybody, except for us, in this division, have true number 1, number 2 wide receivers.
Why'd you say everybody but us?
Because who's our number 2 true?
Deebo Samuel. Ever heard of the guy? All right.
Okay.
That's silence.
I mean,
silence ain't a nose pick for our audio listeners.
Yeah, nose pick. Sorry. Wide receiver 2.
I don't know why Trev is so. Is this a revelation that Trev is down on Deebo Samuel?
I'm not down. I'm not high on Deebo Samuel because he's aging Deebo Samuel. But I'm not down. I'm not down on Deebo Samuel. Yeah, but Terry's had consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards every year. Okay. Deebo has not. Deebo's been 1,800, 1,800, which means this year he's due for 1,000. But he's not. He could be a wide receiver 3. Like he could be like true number 2s. Just think about this number 2s I'm about to give you. AJ
okay,
Brown,
Darius Slayton or Deebo Samuel. You were hyping Darius Slayton by talking about him.
They destroy Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. That's 1 and 2.
Well, you're talking about division why they took Trey Amos.
Puka and somebody else. Yeah, so because we now every other team has 2 true wide receiver 1 and 2, so that's why we got Trey Amos to help with the cornerback room and help with
these are the teams you face 6 times,
and that's what I'm saying.
It's going to help out.
You can say Darius Slayton all you want, but that man has a good game against us all the time, whether it's Daniel Jones
or against Amos.
Exactly, which is why I think Adam Peters had a little inkling about this trade coming and why they took a cornerback.
I
think that's a little conspiracy theory-ish, but I like it.
We're not in the meeting rooms. We're not on the phone calls. We're not.
I agree with Trev. Trev, I'm with you. I'm with you, Trev. I'm with you, Trev. I think Adam Peters maybe not knew about George Pickens, but knew Dallas was in the market for another wide receiver. Even if they're not, they're facing some pretty good wide receiver 1s, 2s, and 3s. So they knew they had to shore up. So they go for Trey Amos. They also know they're facing against some pretty big pass rushes. They even saw Abdul Carter go to division rival in the Giants. Yeah. So they take an offensive lineman. Adam Peters always does seem to be a step ahead of us bozos for sure. But he seems to be in lockstep with what he needs to do for the team. And I think that's great. With George Pickens coming to the East, the guy is a basket case. Like he is a wide receiver diva. He is phenomenal when he's on, but if he's not included, that's going to be that's what I want to know. It's him and CeeDee Lamb, and George Pickens has already shown, like, if you're not feeding him the ball, he gets kind of angsty, and CeeDee Lamb is a better wide receiver, in my opinion, than George Pickens. And so if you're not feeding George Pickens because you're feeding CeeDee Lamb, rightfully so, is George Pickens going to go off? That's going to be the interesting thing. And then as Grimjaw mentions here, Pickens embarrassed us because our corners were Mike Davis and Benjamin St. Juice.
I did
and
mention
now we don't have that issue.
Room. Yeah, it was a different cornerback room, but it still happened. So I just had to throw it out there. Also, maybe George Pickens' attitude changes. Something about that star on the helmet changes people. And also, he was the only target in Pittsburgh. So if he wasn't getting targeted as the wide receiver number 1 or option number 1, I'd probably be a little upset too. Not defending him, but now he's going somewhere else. But if I don't get the ball, CD will. We cool. As long as we win. I think that's all he really worries about too. He came from Georgia. He's about
you play him twice every year, and you're gonna have to game plan for George Pickens.
You have to,
along with CeeDee Lamb. So that's a problem that he's now in the division.
And we addressed it in the offseason with Jonathan Jones, last year's draft, and this year's draft.
Yeah, and let's not forget the quarterbacks they're going to play outside of the division this year with Mahomes and Herbert and Bo Nix and Jordan Love and Caleb Williams and Jared Goff and J.J. McCarthy. They're not going to be facing Trey Lance and Joe Flacco and Bryce or Deshaun Watson and Bryce Young and all these. No, they're playing all the big boys, a lot of the big boys this year. So, yeah, they're going to have to be ready for it. So I think that's why they drafted a corner personally. Because the defense
and as mentioned, the 55 burger that was put on in the NFC Championship game. You definitely needed to kind of go there. Let's move from that one real quick. Once this is mentioned, we'll probably talk about it. But Tommy T is hearing Breece Hall may be going to Dallas on a trade. Stay tuned for that one. Babe, who knows? This may be when Jerry Jones says they're going all in. Last season, they didn't do anything. Maybe this is the season they actually go there. Gents, Mother's Day weekend. Make sure you say Happy Mother's Day to Trey, reminding us, say Happy Mother's Day to your mom. So Happy Mother's Day, Mom, from me and mother's-in-law, Mama Stores.
Yes, sir.
Happy Mother's Day.
Absolutely.
And my wife and Stoner's wife. And
what up, EP?
Trev's girl.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day to those
Happy
three
Mother's
as
Day,
well.
Everybody.
JG, for my singing. My singing is much better than what it showed there, but I'm not going to say it's much. I am in voice lessons, so that way I can be a more confident singer. But I appreciate the shade being thrown.